like you. Be strong to hold the powers of the sun. To dream, believe in strength. Now I'm the only one.
Welcome back to Diorpop. Today, we're not just talking about stage lights, global charts, or headline-making performances. We're talking about something quieter, something softer, the kind of energy you don't announce, but you feel. Because when Jimin and Jungkook stand side by side, the world doesn't just see two members of BTS. It sees a dynamic that feels lived in, steady, and unexpectedly domestic. There's a reason so many people say they give off married couple energy. It's not about labels. It's not about assumptions. It's about the way comfort looks when it's been built over years. The instinctive closeness. The shared rings. The subtle glances that seem to say more than words ever could. Tonight, we're diving into the quiet details. The kind that don't scream for attention, but somehow leave the strongest impression. When people talk about BTS, the conversation usually revolves around global records, sold-out stadiums, and cultural impact. But beyond the dazzling performances and historic milestones, there is a quieter dynamic that continues to draw attention in a completely different way: the natural, almost domestic energy between Jimin and Jungkook. Fans call them Jikook, and over the years, many have noticed that the energy they give off sometimes feels less like bandmates and more like a long-married couple who have simply grown into each other's rhythm. It is not loud. It is not theatrical. In fact, what makes their dynamic stand out is how unforced it appears. There is a certain familiarity in the way they move around each other, as if proximity is second nature. When they walk side by side, their steps unconsciously sync. When they stand in crowded spaces, they drift closer without thinking. These are not grand gestures meant for spectacle. They are small, habitual movements that feel deeply ingrained. There have been countless moments where Jimin instinctively adjusts something on Jungkook's outfit, brushes lint from his shoulder, or leans in to whisper something only the two of them can hear. Jungkook, in return, often responds with a soft smile or a look that carries quiet affection rather than playful chaos. It is the kind of exchange that feels comfortable, lived in, and steady. Observers often describe it as married couple energy, not necessarily because of overt romance, but because of the effortless domesticity in their interactions. What deepens this perception is how long they have grown up together. They entered the industry young, trained under pressure, debuted as teenagers, and navigated overwhelming global fame side by side. Shared hardship creates a bond that words rarely capture. When two people evolve through their most formative years together, they develop an understanding that does not require constant explanation. They learn each other's moods, silences, and subtle shifts in expression. That kind of familiarity naturally radiates outward. Another detail that once sparked widespread curiosity was the appearance of similar rings on their fingers. On separate occasions, fans noticed that both Jimin and Jungkook wore rings with nearly identical minimalist designs. The discovery quickly became a topic of discussion. Was it coincidence? A shared gift? A simple overlap in taste? There was never any official explanation, and perhaps there never needed to be one. The rings themselves were understated, but symbolism rarely depends on extravagance. Accessories can be fashion statements, but in the context of two people known for their closeness, even small details can feel meaningful. A shared style choice may simply reflect similar preferences, yet to many, it echoed something deeper, a quiet alignment, a reflection of two individuals moving through the same phase of life together. The intrigue was not about confirming anything definitive. It was about the way such a subtle detail amplified the warmth people already sensed between them. Their dynamic often mirrors that of couples who have spent years building a life together. There is playful teasing, but it is softened by underlying care. There are moments where Jimin appears gently attentive, reminding Jungkook of something or guiding him with a light touch. There are moments where Jungkook instinctively positions himself protectively near Jimin, especially in chaotic environments. These gestures are small, yet consistent. Consistency is what gives their energy its strength. It is also important to acknowledge that public perception is shaped by fragments. Cameras capture seconds, not entire days. Fans witness curated moments, not private realities. Whatever meaning exists behind their shared glances or matching rings ultimately belongs to them. Speculation can be poetic, but it should always be balanced with respect for personal boundaries. Still, there is something undeniably beautiful about witnessing two people who appear so genuinely comfortable with each other. Comfort is not easily faked over the span of years. It reveals itself in body language, in timing, in the way laughter naturally overlaps. When Jimin and Jungkook share a quiet smile on stage or dissolve into synchronized giggles backstage, it feels less like performance and more like familiarity. Perhaps that is why the married couple energy narrative persists. It is not about assigning labels or forcing definitions. It is about recognizing a softness that endures despite the pressures surrounding them. In an industry defined by intensity and scrutiny, moments of visible ease feel rare and precious. The rings, the subtle touches, the way they instinctively lean toward one another. None of these details require confirmation to be meaningful. They simply add layers to a dynamic that has evolved over more than a decade. Whether seen as deep friendship, lifelong partnership, or something uniquely undefinable, the bond between Jimin and Jungkook resonates because it feels steady. And sometimes, steadiness is the most powerful kind of connection. And maybe that's what makes their dynamics so compelling. It isn't built on grand declarations or dramatic moments meant to convince anyone of anything. It's built on consistency, on years of shared stages, shared struggles, shared laughter, on the kind of familiarity that doesn't need to be rehearsed because it has already been lived. Whether it's a subtle lean closer, a protective presence in crowded spaces, or even something as simple as wearing similar rings, the meaning doesn't have to be defined to be felt. What people respond to is the steadiness, the warmth, the sense that, in a world that constantly shifts around them, they remain a constant for each other. At the end of the day, interpretations will always vary. But one thing remains undeniable. When Jimin and Jungkook stand together, there is an ease that feels real. And sometimes, that quiet, unspoken comfort is more powerful than any headline ever could. This has been Diorpop, where we don't just watch moments, we feel them.
Like you, be strong to hold the powers of the sun. To dream